Who would have thought that a show set in New York City, in a New York City garage about a group of taxi cab drivers, would ever go on to win 14 Emmys, garner critical acclaim, and be one of the most cherished sitcoms ever? Well, Taxi did just that. Take a look. Taxi debuted on September 12, 1978. And though it earned many Emmy Awards and nominations, the show never enjoyed consistent rating success, forcing the cast and crew to buckle up for a very bumpy 5-year cab ride.
Be careful of steering. You know, sometimes you turn, go this way, when the car, it go this way.
The show, darker and more adult than most sitcoms of its time, was set in a New York City taxi garage, focusing on a small group of cab drivers who were all driving taxis until their real career aspirations became reality. Bobby Wheeler, played by Jeff Conaway, was a would-be actor. Marilu Henner brought Elaine Nardo to life. A divorced mother of 2, she dreamed of a life in the art world.
Do they finish to you?
They're great. Terrific. I think this one could use more brown.
Tony Banta, played by Tony Danza, was a prize fighter who almost never stepped in the ring.
Give me another one.
Christopher Lloyd brought the spaced-out Reverend Jim Caldwell Ignatowski to life. And immigrant Latka Gravis was played by the late comedian Andy Kaufman. He was recently immortalized on film in the biopic starring Jim Carrey entitled Man on the Moon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
The most down-to-earth of the lot was Judd Hirsch's Alex Riga, who considered himself a career cabbie and the one the group turned to for his sagely advice. And the tyrannical leader of the pack, Mr. Louis De Palma, played by Danny DeVito.
No! This garage is Louis land.
Though this show celebrated the childlike optimism of its adult dreamers with romance, warmth, and sarcasm, it also distinguished itself by having an ensemble cast of outcasts, losers, and eccentrics, and wasn't afraid to break the mold of the sweet family sitcoms of that era.
Mental illness or narcotic addiction? Now that's a tough choice.
And here they are, the cast of Taxi. It's so good to see you guys.
Hey, Al. Hey, man.
Yes.
Way to go, Al.
Yes. I'm a New Yorker. I had to get a New York sitcom. So although we're all in Los Angeles to do that.
You had to get us something like Farmers this morning.
Al, you answered our request. We wrote you and told you to choose the show, remember?
Absolutely. Starting off with Marilu Henner, of course, as Elaine Nardo, Judd Hirsch, who is, of course, Alex Riga.
R-I-E-G.
That's right. And Louis De Palma, of course, Danny DeVito. Carol Kane as Simca, Latka's wife. And Tony Danza, Tony Banta, the heavyweight boxer, or wanted to be, middleweight. And Jeff Conaway was Bobby Wheeler. It's
Robert.
Robert Wheeler, excuse me. Robert. Oh, that's right. Robert.
Robert to you, Al.
That's right.
On his resume.
Now, when
There
you
was
guys,
not one show we called him that, yes.
Not yet. He was always Bobby. Now, when you first got the scripts for this, to do a New York taxi cab sitcom, what'd you guys think?
Well, we all got like sides first.
Yeah,
it was all different monologues.
Right, then
We never even saw the script until we were about to shoot.
That's right.
It was really incredible. But the idea that you were going to have taxi drivers, it just seemed so gritty and earthy and so different from any other kind of sitcom that was on at the time.
The first time I met them, they were still writing it. I was waiting in the office, and time's going by and going by and going by, and Jim Brooks sticks his head out and he says, "Jeff, this is probably the only time you're going to be here for a reading while we're writing it."
In fact, Danny, you had already done a movie, and people told you, don't do this. Don't do it.
Oh, yeah, I'd done Cuckoo's Nest, and I'd come out to California to, see what I could do in movies. I did Going South with Jack Nicholson, and then this came along. And it's not like I guess it was a kind of an elitist thing in California. People would say, don't do television. It was like, stay away from television, do movies. And they offered me this part. It was the script was great. The characters were great. It was seemed like a gift from God. And then, I go to my good friends and I say, "Guy, look at this. I got this." And they go, "Stay away." It's the worst thing you could ever do. And I can say to you, you guys were wrong.
Totally. Plus, the first time we all met each other, it was like an instant love fest. I mean, everybody, we were all crazy about each other. We all hung out. We went baseball games, parties. People always say, "What was Taxi like?" And I always say, we did 112 shows. We had 112 parties.
Yeah,
Every single week we had a party after the show.
Friday night was the night.
Yeah.
And
Everybody from Hollywood come around.
We'd shoot our show Friday night with all the 300 people there.
Right.
we would have a room upstairs. They give us a great room upstairs. And after the show, we all went, we beelined up to the
We all
Tuesday
paid
wrap.
for it, except 4 times a year the producers paid for it. But I'd collect the money, and we had a caterer, and we always invited the whole lot, and everybody came.
And when we had everybody was there.
Right.
Penny Marshall would come.
Well, it was
So
like,
people from the other sitcoms would show
Paramount
up.
was
Robin
incredible,
Williams
'cause
came.
It was like being in college or something, because you had the guys from Bosom Buddies, you had the Working Stiffs, you know, you had Jim Belushi, and you had Michael Keaton and Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari, and then the whole cast of Happy Days and Laverne and
You've
Shirley
got
and
this.
Mork and Mindy.
You've got this family, and Carolyn, in the 5th season, you come in as Latka's wife. How difficult was that coming into an already established group?
Well, I had done one show the 2nd season, and you know what? I have to just say that this group was just so welcoming and loving and supportive right away. It was just like, and in terms of the writing, one time I had this line, you know, peel me like a grape so I can get out of here. And I remember like driving on the lot thinking, I'll pay them anything. You know, how much can I pay to get to say those words? You know, I mean, it was like, what a gift.
It was a welcoming group, Al. That's what I was going to chime in. You know,
Except when we had a sub-director.
well, yeah, no, but I mean, for me, you know, I thought these guys had all been working.
Having a substitute teacher in school.
You gave him a hard time.
Oh, did we give him a hard time?
But for these guys had all been working. You know, Danny had done movies. Judd, you know, everybody was. He was in Greece, and you know, and they got this great show for you. It's great. You're going to have a great time slot. It's the guys from Mary Tyler Moore. It's the best. It's the best. Oh, yeah. There's this fighter from Brooklyn we're going to add to the show. He's never acted before. So, you know, you could see how people would go, what?
It took you all about 2 minutes.
And your character was a fighter who drove a cab.
One of the lines
He was Irish.
my early lines
Italian.
from The Cage was when I saw him come up, and I said, "It's Tony Banta. He's the only guy with a cauliflower back." But it was true, right? You had all the, from being knocked out. How many times were you knocked out?
I was 8 and 24. I
8
was
and
knocked
24.
out 22 times.
22 times.
Yes.
Well,
There you go.
but it wasn't
By his own-
25.
I was getting better every time.
Even by his son, his 7-year-old.
Judd, you come to this. You have a physics degree in college. How did you end up with this motley crew?
He couldn't get a job.
He talks like a physicist sometimes.
No, I used it. I used the degree. That's how I got here. Actually, you know what happened? They when they called me to do the show, they didn't have anything written. There was nothing down. It was zero. And my agent said, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, they got a great track record, of course." I said, "But I don't want to do television, for crying out loud." I was just about to go to Europe, and take my kid with me, and I said. Then he said, "Well, they've written, I think, an outline of some. No, they finally sent a script of some sort." And he said, "So now, what do you think?" And I said, "How old would I be when I get out of this?" He said, "It matters." I said, "It matters to me." I said, "It matters to me."
When I read for the show, I read with Mandy Patinkin, who was up for John.
And you wanted
different
Latka's role.
I wanted Latka's role.
Hey, speaking of Andy, you know, 2 days from now is the 20th anniversary
know,
of
it's
his death.
unbelievable.
And remember what he said.
coming
He
back.
said if he was a boy about it, he'd come back after 10, but if he was a man about it, he'd come back after 20. So we're expecting
That's
that.
right, this Sunday.
Right.
We should also mention Christopher Lloyd wanted to be
Yes.
here. He's shooting
Yes,
a movie,
Christopher.
Reverend Jim, so he can't be here. What do you
We
guys
love you, Chris.
What are you guys up to these days?
Oh, well, I have a movie that's on June 6th called Love Rules, and I also teach classes online at my website, and it's an unbelievable 30 teachers who teach my program, writing another book, raising my kids, getting married again.
Oh,
So-
congratulations. Judd, I know you're on Broadway.
Hey!
You're getting married again.
Getting married again.
Up early.
Oh,
And she's getting married.
This is the only way you would have found out. You know?
Carol, you're in Toronto doing a movie right now?
I am. I'm doing a movie with Vin Diesel called The
ooh.
Pacifier. I spent all day yesterday beating up on him.
All right. And Tony, you got a talk show coming up.
Coming up, yeah, September 13th, right after Regis and Kelly, live in New York.
Jeff,
Watch out.
Jeff?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I got a few movies coming up.
And Danny, we know you're not doing much.
Hanging out.
The cast of Taxi, thanks so much.
Al, you're the man, Al.
More today, right
Man.
after this. Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.